in association with the School of Information and Communication Studies of the University of Ghana. And they have a very strong delegation here. We'll be doing a roll call shortly. We're also happy to say this event has been sponsored by 4 of our best companies. We're grateful to GCB Bank Ghana Limited, which one's together for them. Also, the Margins Group. Please, a round of applause for the Margins Group. Sponsored by Haptel and MTN Ghana. Please put your hands together for them. So this is a one-day thought leadership and professional exchange platform designed to bring together faculties of media and communication studies in Ghanaian tertiary universities alongside media industry leaders, regulators, technologists, and content creators to think about the future of media, not just in Ghana, but on the African continent. We are in a very interesting time in the world where things are moving very, very fast. The conference aims to examine the current state of traditional media, which is your usual radio, television, and print in Ghana, the rapid evolution of digital technologies, and how their convergence is reshaping content production, distribution, audience behavior, monetization, and education. Beyond the diagnosis, the conference will explore practical pathways to collaborate between academia and industry, ensuring that media education remains relevant, skills-based, and responsive to technological disruption. Somebody said, evil people are always working together. Good people hardly meet. And for once, great people from the media industry are happy to meet, to collaborate, to chart a future. We have a number of high-level institutions here. I'm going to do a quick roll call of them. Then I'll invite the executive director of the Africa Media Bureau to bring us his welcome remarks before we enter the program. This program is live on Channel 1 television and is streaming also on social media. If you are watching, we'll put a number on the screen. Please feel free to join the discussion so we can think carefully through the future of this very important industry. I'd like to acknowledge the presence first of the University of Ghana. If they are here, give us... Yes, indeed. From the School of Communication and Information Studies. Thank you very much. We also have reps from the Ghana Journalist Association, GJA. Thank you very much. The Private Newspapers and Online News Publishers Association of Ghana, also known as PRINPAG. Round of applause. Happy to say one of the regulators, the National Communication Authority, is also here. Give us a wave. As is the Advertising Association of Ghana. Round of applause for them. And also the University of Media and Communication, known as UNIMAC. Did I get that right? Wonderful. We're also happy to say we have the University of Cape Coast, reps from UCC. And there are 2, University of Cape Coast, Department of Communication Studies, as well as the School of Creative Arts. Thank you for joining. The UPSA, Department of Communications, give us a wave. Thank you. The Institute of Public Relations, IPR Ghana. The University of Education, Winneba, UEW. Academic City here in Accra, Ghana, as well as the Pentecost University. We're also happy to say some very important missions have joined us with support from the British High Commission. We have Mr. Ryan Wilson, Head of Communication. Thank you, Ryan. And from the U.S. Embassy, the Media and Communication Specialist, Joyce Asiedu. Auntie Joyce, thank you for being here. All right, so who is the Africa Media Bureau and why this audacious idea to discuss media convergence in Ghana at a time like this? I'd like to invite the Executive Director of AMB, Mr. Samuel Atam-Mensah, better known as Samens, to bring us opening remarks from the organizers. Come on, guys. It's a long walk to the stage. Yes. Some people also call him Papa Sam. Papa Sam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bernard. At times it gets confusing when you wear too many hats. You don't know when you'll be referred to as executive director. but I think it's happened this morning. I've been invited to share a few words to welcome you, but let me veer off and paint a picture to all of us here. The last time I checked, I noticed that the National Communications Authority so far has issued 805 frequencies for radio only. And out of the 805, 583 are commercial stations. 161 are supposedly community FM stations. We have 31 public stations, 25 campus FM stations. And then for television, we have 178 TV operators with 132 currently operating. Now, this is just a picture of what we are dealing with in this small country of ours. So this is the definition of congestion. It's a very congested space that we are dealing with. And so the whole idea is, while the world is going in a particular direction of dissolving the structures of traditional media and seamlessly joining the digital space, it's not like we have an option. The world is going in that direction. How do we, as a country, prepare for it? Good morning again, distinguished guests, esteemed academics, media practitioners, regulators, industry leaders, students, and partners. On behalf of the Africa Media Bureau, I warmly welcome you to the Media Convergence Conference 2026, held under the theme, Where Legacy Meets Technology, the future of media practice, education, and policy in Ghana. Today, we gather at a critical moment in the evolution of Ghana's media landscape. Traditional media, radio, television, and print are no longer operating in isolation, as we can all attest to. Technology has transformed how stories are told, how audiences engage, and how media businesses survive and thrive. That's if we will thrive. This conference is not just about examining the change. It's about shaping the future. It's about bringing together academia and industry to ask important questions. Are we preparing for the next generation of media professionals to embrace the realities of tomorrow? Are our newsrooms adapting fast enough? And how do we ensure that ethics, credibility, and public trust remain at the center of innovation? At Africa Media Bureau, we believe that the future of media depends on collaboration between you lecturers that are represented here, the editors that are seated here, the students, and the professionals, between policy and practice. We are honored to host some of the brightest minds and most experienced voices in the industry today, and we trust that the conversations here will lead to practical recommendations, stronger partnerships, and lasting impact. Thank you for being part of this important dialogue. Welcome, and I wish you a productive and inspiring conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Please put your hands together one more time for Samuel Atam-Mensah. Sam Mensah doesn't like reading speeches. So the discipline it took him to just read the speech is very commendable. So well done. for sticking to the speech. Let's take a quick message from our sponsors. This is the Africa Media Bureau's Media Convergence in Ghana conference, and here are some of our sponsors who've been helping to make this program possible.
That we've been connecting businesses to their customers for over 20 years, or that we power more than 12% of all electronic transactions in Ghana. Maybe it's that we are everywhere, from Accra to Ho, Kumasi to Tadi, Cape Coast to Tamale. Or is it that we safely process more transactions than any indigenous tech company here in Ghana? Or we deliver faster, we transfer safer, or we make businesses and life just a little easier? But what truly makes us Ghana's most useful technology company, it isn't the speed or the numbers. It's the people we connect, the dreams we keep moving, the communities we bring closer every single day. You prove every day what usefulness really looks like. We give you the tools, you provide the proof. Haptel, useful every day.
Across our markets and communities, dreams are being built every day with hard work and determination. In every corner of our market, resilience lives here. Join us. Let's see how GCB Bank support is expanding businesses, increasing their profits, and shaping stronger futures. Today, we are at Odona Market, Kwame Nkrumah Circle, to speak to Madam Benis Otu.
Meeting the Benis Otu. Na me Odona Novotel Market Queen Mother. Me starti edwuma wei ewo Abra Mishia Commercial Bank. Before na because of my market position in team. Me edwuma oye parish about today nchefua mekra every week. Ebi a me di bi so free a. Ona me edwuma nti miska ni nyina ntum mboano. Na nna amanyore kase ya Abraham ishia GCB na dodo ne nyina ya adwene ye hede eye adwuma wa abane mo nkote a ena ihia enyamwa wa GCB owo ba Odona Market ebe cheche he mesma GCB tim wotie he kase enti oduru mri to biro na chede ye nya akomotoye ma ye betum nye ho aye adwuma ampa wo yi nyimpa emahen ma every day Oba obeje heska deko nti free ho no omanyi dado amenya nti me bie company me ye company accounts me company ni dindi Bakato Ventures nti me free personal nemu na me call Ventures nti sisi amanyore kasei se bibi ham na me from ho sisia emitia wa na GCB we tuma aye masadia me ma check mpo na sa nyimpa no Kenya or Kenya scanner program ba ho menya from one pe na ho sort him out enyi dado nkote enti se induru ha mesrade bo modern na ntukosi GCB ana amanyore kasei se bi ben ho a ma branch manager ana de ehwo na wo call wano abehu do all share GCB atari biara but my friend na de wo how that tunanyim na obe sort out me da see.
Please put your hands together as we come back on. So this is the Media Convergence in Ghana conference, Rethinking Media in a Digital First Era. And our theme is Where Legacy Meets Technology, the Future of Media Practice and Education and Policy, happening here at the La Palma Royal Beach Hotel, transmitting live on Channel 1 Television. My name is Bernard Avle. Our other sponsors include the Margins Group and MTN, and this program is in collaboration with the School of Communication Studies at the University of Ghana. Before we get into our next speech, I'd like to acknowledge some of our key functionaries here. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of faculty from the School of Communication Studies. Of course, the Dean, Professor Abna Yeboah-Banning is here. Can we acknowledge Professor Yeboah-Banning? Prof will be on the first panel on the state of media convergence in Ghana. That panel will be moderated by my colleague Francisca Kakra-Forsen, who just joined us. Francisca, give us a wave in red. And that panel will also include Mr. Maximus Ametogo, who is from the Institute of Digital Marketing and Dr. Tawfiq Mohammed, who's from the Department of Communication Studies, UPSA. Is Dr. Mohammed here? Give us a wave. Thank you very much indeed. The second panel will be looking at media education and industry reality, and that panel will be graciously driven by one of the doyens of media education, Professor Audrey Gajekpo. Where is Professor Audrey Gajekpo? Yes, indeed. A relentless voice in media education and quality. Prof, we're happy to have you here. That panel includes Dr. Daniel Nkrumah of the KNUST. He's from the Department of Languages and Communication Sciences. Professor H.S. Sikanku, Dean of School of Journalism and Media Studies, UNIMAC. And Mr. Albert Kofi Owusu, who is the General Manager of the Ghana News Agency. Later in the day, we will do concurrent sessions. We call them breakout sessions. One of the sessions will be looking at monetization, metrics, and sustainability in a converged media market. That will be led by Sendo Tamaklo, who's an industry practitioner. The other concurrent session will be on reimagining media curriculum for the next decade, and the session will be led by Dr. Aurelia Eyisi, who is from the University of Ghana as well. Before we get into all of that, we want to take the keynote address to be on the theme, the future of media convergence in Africa. It will touch on declining audience versus digital growth, platform dominance, and newsroom adaptation, and what traditional media must learn and unlearn to survive the current frontier. So who's our speaker? I'll run a few words on him. His achievements are in the brochure that we'll be sharing with you, but a couple of quick points about him. He is the co-founder and CEO of ABN Holdings and the Africa Public Interest Media Initiative. He is in the person of George Chumesi. So who's George and why is he the one speaking to us today? A couple of quick points about George. So he's a media strategist and entrepreneur with a deep commitment to transforming Africa's media landscape. As originally said, he's the founder and CEO of ABN Holdings and leading the development of a Pan-African cultural and digital sovereignty architecture, which are underpinned by the conceptual framework of an African public interest media initiative and an African worldview network. His work combines the efficacy of traditional media and the new media platforms with a goal to generate a viable public interest originated digital media ecosystem. ABN's vision is to build a scalable, cloud-based ecosystem for African content distribution, supporting local content creators, generating significant value-added revenues, and reaching audiences across the continent and the diaspora. As the co-founder of the Africa Public Interest Media Initiative, a non-profit dedicated to modernizing state-owned media across the sub-Saharan Africa, George's goal is to transform Africa's traditional public broadcasting ecosystem into a unified, AI-driven, and digital-first, this is very important, consortium, producing high-quality, culturally relevant content for the global audiences. He's a 2018 fellow of the Shorenstein Center at Harvard Kennedy School. George developed the strategic framework for the APIMI as part of his work on media development, and he is happy today to be our keynote speaker, and he's also agreed to do a fireside chat with me at some point in the program. So it is with great pleasure that the Africa Media Bureau brings to you our keynote speaker. Please welcome the CEO and founder of ABN Holdings, Mr. George Chumesi. Thank you, George.
Summons, good morning, Mr. Chairman. Fellow media owners and ecosystem design thinkers, deans and faculty of tertiary institutions, editors, industry regulators, and distinguished colleagues, good morning. It is a great honor to be invited to this conference by my colleagues at the Africa Media Bureau to provide a framework for our deliberations today with a focus on the future of media convergence in Africa. I do perceive that the future of media convergence in Africa will play out against a background of recurrent issues comprising declining audiences versus digital growth, non-African platform dominance, the slow adoption of automated journalism, and the naivety of traditional media owners. However, it's possible to turn the tide through a deliberate transformative shift of state-owned media assets from a fragmented landscape of siloed and financially sometimes moribund traditional outlets into an integrated and or consolidated digital-first public-private partnerships driven, a public-private partnership-driven ecosystem comprising 10 key Africa-owned and or controlled connectivity and access layers, a data-predicated platform and distribution monetization layer, a culturally relevant creative economy value-generating layer, and capital and sovereign control layers. Altogether, these 4 layers will ensue in the effective inflow of financial capital and the capture of long-term commercial and social impact development value. Given the current reality of an increasingly blurry line between broadcasting, telecommunications, and social platforms, there's a very strong, albeit ad hoc shift towards the adoption of hybrid ecosystems, where traditional media houses in many countries, including Ghana, Nigeria, and Kenya, have been forced by harsh realisms to move away from legacy-only models toward a hybrid digital-first model. However, we must not make the mistake of assuming that a digital-first approach is platform-dependent. A digital-first business model does not mean posting our best content on Silicon Valley servers for free, hoping their algorithms would be kind to us. True convergence is not about putting a radio show on a podcast or a television news segment on TikTok. True convergence is the integration of intelligence into new culturally relevant algorithms, which speaks to Africa's imagination and aspirations. Within the context of that, it's about building a media ecosystem where the data tells us what the people need and how our journalistic craft can deliver content in a format that fits their lives, whether they are in a trotro in Accra or the farm in the northern region. In 2026, on average, most young Africans between the ages of 18 and 34 spend less than 12 minutes a day with what we still describe as traditional media. 12 minutes. In most cases, that same young person in that age bracket and his or her friends spend a lot of time consuming, creating, and distributing user-generated content by almost every meaningful measure for more than 6 hours a day. We see our kids do it all the time. 6 hours on platforms we did not build, governed by rules we did not write, monetized by companies that do not answer to our regulators, and increasingly moderated by algorithms that do not recognize our language, our faces, nor recognize our historical perspectives. The problem that we all face when we are my age is that what we describe as traditional media does not exist. It is dead, it's gone. But we like to hold on to that esoteric value proposition because we grew up with traditional media. We teach about traditional media. We converse around the thoughts of traditional media, something that has long departed from our ecosystem. So the phrase traditional media is itself a diagnosis. It tells us how we have come to see ourselves as the older generation of an industry, as the industries continually being disrupted by those younger than we are. It's a gentle phrase that allows us to speak about the forces shaping our industry in a manner that gives us a false sense of security. There is no traditional media for most Africans below the age of 30. It doesn't exist. They don't know what that means. There's only 2 types of media in that regard. One that has converged, and another type that does not as yet realize traditional media belongs to the past. The newsroom that still measures its relevance by print circulation or by the reach of its transmitter is not traditional, it is simply late. The broadcaster that treats its Facebook page as a poster board rather than a production studio is not traditional, it's invincible. The publisher that treats its website as the place where the newspaper goes to sleep at the end of the day is not traditional. It's a museum with a Wi-Fi password. In today's world, legacy is not a business model. It isn't. Nostalgia is not a revenue line. And the fact that an institution used to matter is not on its own an argument for why anyone today should care about it. I know what it costs to ask a generation of media professionals, people who have built their craft in master control rooms and tape libraries, to now think in terms of product sprints, retention curves, and audience cohorts. It's humbling work. It's also non-negotiable work. Consider the evidence. African content today drives roughly 30% of Spotify's global growth. And yet African artists retain less than 20% of the streaming revenue. That content generates. Nollywood produces more than 2,500 films a year, more than Hollywood, and yet we do not own the digital distribution infrastructure that will let us monetize our own diaspora audiences. African news content does generate billions of dollars in advertising revenue on Meta and on Google, and local African media outlets receive less than 10 cents on the dollar of that value. Maybe even less, maybe 1 cent. 10 cents is a lot of money in that regard. The FT strategies recently along the African Development Bank did a media investment fund feasibility, as did some time ago the International Fund for Public Interest Media, which is looking forward, seeking to look forward, but not with Africa as its main focus, not with the traditional media that we yearn to evolve from as a focus. Fundamentally, it's a Western-driven agenda, which all be very good as part of the process, right? It doesn't really situate our intent, our purpose, and our need in the context that it's required in order for us to flourish in an industry which already makes money for us, which does not come into our pockets, right? So that study puts the aggregate opportunity to Africa's media ecosystem at $180 billion US, in shrinking advertising revenue, infrastructure gaps, and platform dependency all combined together. The root cause is not a mystery. It's this platform dependency. Africa operates as a content supplier to an infrastructure owned elsewhere. YouTube, Spotify, Meta, Netflix. These companies extract value because they control three things we do not. They control distribution, the platforms on which content is consumed. They control the payment rails, how users pay, and how creators are compensated. And they control the data, the audience intelligence on which all modern monetization now depends. This is the same structural trap that kept African raw materials undervalued for decades. The solution is not to produce more content. The solution is to own the infrastructure that monetizes it. To win, there are three key challenges that must be effectively tackled. First, mobile handsets have evolved into the primary screen. Whether it's radio, podcast, it's the mobile phone. It's supported by the traditional screen at home during family viewing when you're tired after work. But most of the time, everybody's on their telephone, right? Across the continent of Africa, mobile devices have become the central hub for news and entertainment, making mobile native content formats the standard rather than a disruption. For that reason, a recurring revenue sapping issue of fragmented consumption has come to stay. Consumers of traditional media have shifted in their preferences and given the choice of options available, from linear certainty to a mix of readily and or easily accessible non-linear streaming options, including free ad-supported series and short-form micro-dramas on platforms like TikTok, Facebook, and on YouTube. Second, global media firms are increasingly using multimedia platform strategies to consolidate their influence in Africa. For example, the rollout of 5G, which the likes of CNN, CGTN, the BBC, France 24, and Deutsche Welle can afford to deploy, does provide the ultra-low latency and high bandwidth required for seamless, high-quality streaming and real-time interactive media. Furthermore, with secure satellite partnerships driven by Starlink and Amazon, it was Amazon Kuiper, rebranded as Amazon Leo, and other giant-driven companies with strong Africa-wide footprints, including Facebook and Google, are already well invested in bridging Africa's digital divide, bringing high-speed internet to rural areas, and ensuring that converged news media services reach previously underserved populations, which, underpinned by the power and capabilities of artificial intelligence, are increasingly set to become the most powerful news media organizations on the African continent. Straddling content automation, audience analytics, supremacy-fueled misinformation campaigns, and local language translation supports, they are winning all advertising revenues. Third, the threat to Africa's narrative sovereignty. There's a growing movement to use converged platforms to take control of African stories. By building complete editorial and technological ecosystems, African media can position their narratives as levers of economic and geopolitical power. Even now, in 2026, the shaping of Africa's image on a Pan-African level and on the international stage remains beyond the control of Africa. Rather, foreign media entities have continued to play a phenomenal role in shaping the image of Africa. As such, we face the paradox in Africa that Africans do not present or represent themselves, and in our endeavors to construct a positive image of Africa, we remain challenged by a long legacy of negative narratives and an image of Africans stretching from the image of blacks in antiquity, the classical age, Judeo-Christian literature, and Islamic civilizations, to the crisis news that reverts present-day media coverage of Africa. Equally important, traditional media systems have enduringly functioned as major technologies of rule, both in colonial and post-colonial Africa. European missionaries, for example, in Africa, were among the first to adopt photography when the technology became available, sending black images of African heathenism, in quotes, and barbarity, in quotes, that unlocked the purse strings so vital to missionary support overseas. These images would inform European conviction that colonization or colonialism would be a good service to Africa. Radio was introduced to British and French Africa in the 1920s and the 1930s. Both colonial powers viewed radio as an arm of colonial policy, an instrument of rule, whereas the British moved to decentralize radio and provided a large indigenous component along the model of the BBC. BBC Public Corporation, the French maintained a tight grip on radio, welding broadcasting in French Africa firmly to France and seeing in broadcasting a tool to mold Africans in a French image, the policy of assimilation. It is not surprising, therefore, considering this utility of media, that in the not too distant past, most African post-independent governments would move quickly to control radio and other forms of media, especially in those eras, during the times when coup d'etats were rampant. The first place the military would go to would be the broadcasting house. At the beginning of the 21st century, as we travel through 2026, Africa is faced with a broad set of challenges, from good governance, economic growth, developing human capital, promoting health and environmentally sustainable lifestyles, nurturing an informed and empowered citizenry, and deepening the roots of democracy and political participation. We strive to achieve these goals in an international context with global competition to attract foreign investments when globalization has intensified the flow of capital, entrepreneurship, and labor. On the internal African front, the end of the Cold War in 1989 has produced what has been described as Africa's second wave of democratization, and new and more sustained attempts at forging democracy. Right through till now, new nations were birthed just as older ones sought to redefine themselves. Other nations in this period did implode in this post-Cold War period as well, including a genocide in 1994 and civil wars within Central Africa and in West Africa. From then till now, media does still occupy a crucial place in all our endeavors to create an informed citizenry, not prone to manipulation, to revise the African's concept of what it really means to be an African citizen and personality, and within Africa, and to create a more positive and appealing narrative of ourselves, and to educate and entertain African audience with content about who we are, who we were, who we truly are, and what we can become and achieve as a united force of nature. Altogether, for a continent that has been greatly deprived of knowledge, the pursuit of a powerful narrative of ourselves through the power of an Afrocentric public interest media ecosystem with the potential of becoming an electronic classroom, bridging the gaps between haves and have-nots, rural and urban, literate and illiterate, male and female, young and old, is long overdue. Within the context of the above, the successful convergence of a myriad national state-owned media systems and private sector media entities into a viable ecosystem would not just represent a technological change, but a strategic and consequential paradigm shift that would influence and impact generations ahead regarding who we are through positive narratives that we own and control. However, with traditional ad revenues declining, and with most of Africa's national media entities fighting to survive through various ongoing experimentations with diversified revenue streams, including sponsored content and event-based monetization, our narrative sovereignty remains compromised. There are other challenges that our industry continues to face across Africa. Infrastructure gaps, including rural electricity deficits, and the high cost of data continues to limit access for millions. The convergence of different platforms due to the inability to adequately train a professional tech-savvy skill set from a journalistic perspective, and outdated policy frameworks and concerns over censorship in certain regions on the continent. This altogether, notwithstanding, does still point in the direction of the prospects that we have of achieving a converged African digital media ecosystem. It, however, lies in our ability to create an institutional funding mechanism. That's the first. The African Development Bank, the Africa Exim Bank, all our MFIs, DFIs, development finance institutions, do not prioritize media. But in Ghana, in July 2001, media was the act that constrained media was abolished at the time by Parliament during the time of President Kufuor, right? Media in Ghana exploded, and it's part of the fourth estate. Arguments go on, and fundamentally, politicians are questioned, and there's integrity in the voting system, and it's made our democracy one of the best and most enviable on the continent, right? But it is not the case in Cameroon, nor in Central African Republic or elsewhere. In most places across Africa, media is a fragmented opposition tool on the one hand, and a propaganda engine on the other hand. And therefore, AU, African Union, all the things we do, does not work. Because we don't have that viable fourth estate, nor do we have the resources to make it work. So money is extremely important. Money will blend technology with authentic storytelling. Organizations that successfully integrate AI, 5G connectivity, and hybrid monetization models will lead the continent's new era of growth and narrative influence. For decades, much of public service broadcasting and academic work across Africa was subsidized directly or indirectly by institutions headquartered in London, Washington, Paris, and Bonn. The BBC World Service, Deutsche Welle, Canal France International, USAID, Open Society. These organizations have funded our media development. Most news agencies on the continent, without mentioning names, in Ghana and Nigeria, in Uganda, elsewhere, got started by funding from the BBC. The names changed across programs and decades, but the arrangement was familiar. They trained our journalists. They built our signals. They set our standards. They wrote many of our stories back to us, and we too often mistook that translation for authorship. We are very proud when our journalists win awards and they are designated to certain media entities outside of Africa. It's an achievement of accomplishment. That's a false narrative. In the last 2 years, that arrangement has begun to collapse. Washington has walked away from media development. USAID is gone in terms of its funding of all these mechanisms, right? And scholarship, kind of like grants, etc. Away from media development across this continent almost entirely. London is cutting its Africa-facing services to the bone. Bonn is restructured. Paris is consolidating. Whatever one thinks of any of these institutions, and I hold many hard thoughts and many grateful ones about each of them, the fact of the moment is not in serious dispute. The capital that much of African public interest media, the capital that much of African public interest media was built on is leaving, and the vacuum is ours to fill or to forfeit. Through whichever Silicon Valley platform, sovereign fund, or state-backed broadcaster, right, moves into the space the fastest. So we must not mourn the departure. We need to celebrate it neither. What we simply need to observe, or what I have observed in my 4 decades in this industry, is that there has never been a moment like this, a clarifying moment than this one. We have for the first time no fallback, and sometimes no fallback is the precondition for finally doing that which we should have done all along. I'll end here, fundamentally, because there's a lot to say and so little time to say it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. So clearly we ran out of time, but there's a lot more we'll explore when I do the one-on-one with him. He was building a point, and we'll get to that. What are some of the key things that need to be done so we don't lose out on an inevitable media convergence? And by the way, this is the media convergence in Ghana, Rethinking Traditional Media in a Digital First Era, happening live from the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. It's organized by the African Media Bureau. Thank you so much, George Chumesi. Let's put on one more time for George. Before we get into our next panel, we'll take a quick message from the rest of our sponsors.
Across our markets and communities, dreams are being built every day with hard work and determination. In every corner of our market, resilience lives here. Join us. Let's see how GCB Bank's support is expanding businesses, increasing their profits, and shaping stronger futures. Today we are at Makola to speak to Madam Wilhelmina Amunu.
Your friend me Wilhelmina Amunu. My business name is Unyamiye Abacha 1. Abacha 1 ba kupe. Mokola ha. Upe din abacha. Menkwa mene abacha. Mishia GCB. Ewo bra market here me gina mu ne shop here me gina mu. Chese enso hwe bi beto yen a. Ye wo ha no pa na chese je bia pa ha. Asa agudi. Ene he nyina yenkomro fire service ba ye bibia ensi. Ene he nyina hye ye. Nti ye wo ha na GCB eba ye say ye no ma ye nema hye the victims ye metro yedin na on betimi aboa ye. Nti me kwade shop ni na mu ana chese GCB before na me ne wo mo ye adwu ade ba ko so GCB ho a me pepa ne say wo ton wade a chese wo ho no ma be ho ana veru abeji usika de koma alert ne ho na to phone so 10 sika de man na ade enche amount bia wo se ne me sika me de ba GCB de atofo amount eti ado ne ade ma me ne GCB ho a me ne wo mo course wa ye adwuma ba ye komu no ana chese ase me kwa ho kire bonya se ase wo mu a yadwuma ye de obehia support enti any support bi e me he bia me kwa GCB a na chese dwem ye de agu mama me nti eno na aboa madwuma na kosoa chese me wie ya me ho ana GCB a ho kire bi aba me kwa ya be ne manager kan ya o seje no ma work it out according to almost say me balance and na say be statement.
I've sat across the table with women at the very beginning, finding plans, restructuring projections, taking that first bold step of starting a business. Then I've watched them grow new branches, larger teams, bigger confidence. At GCB Bank, our support goes beyond funding. It's guidance, it's trust, it's showing up consistently. I've witnessed how consistent support transforms potential into lasting success.
Imagine a world without worry. a place where everyone is who they say they are, where the people and assets most important to you are protected. A safe space. For over 3 decades, Margins ID Group and its subsidiaries have been building this world. Our state-of-the-art access control systems, asset tagging systems, and CCTV installations ensure that the assets most important to you are protected. We have designed and built award-winning national identity infrastructures, supported by our ultra-modern in-house designed and built verification system. We are the identity experts. We represent you, and we are certified to do so. Proudly, the only African facility to be certified by Intergraph at central banking level. Margins ID Group, made in Ghana by Ghanaians for the world. Visit us now at www.marginsgroup.com.
Please put your hands together as we come back in. This is the Media Convergence Conference here in Accra. My name is Bernard Avle. We just heard a riveting speech from George Chumesi. We'll be sitting down with him later on for a fireside chat to delve further into the fantastic ideas. I don't know about you, but the speech hit me very well. He spoke about there is no traditional media. He says legacy is not a business model. Nostalgia is not a revenue line. And the fact that an institution used to matter is not on its own an argument for why anyone today should care about it. We're going to segue into a first panel discussion when we come back from our brief coffee break. And that panel will be moderated by my colleague, Francisca Kakra-Forsing, and it will be on this very important topic on how convergence is changing digital newsroom workflows. She will deal with audience fragmentation and engagement, multimedia storytelling and content repurposing, and all this within a Ghanaian context. And it's on the theme, State of Media Convergence in Ghana, with Francisca Kakra-Forsing. Panel members include Professor Abena Yeboah-Banning, Dr. Taufik Mohammed, and Maximus Ametogo. It's 11 minutes to the top of the hour. We have some cocoa and drinks at the end of in the lobby, so we'd like to take a brief break so you can refresh yourselves. When we come back at 11, we'll go straight into the first panel discussion. Thank you very much indeed. We'll be with you shortly.
This Mother's Day, we celebrate a love that never gives up, even when it's tested. Let's celebrate the quiet strength and endless love of our mothers. Think about the outstanding moments with Mama and share them with us in our Mother's Day promotion, An Episode with Mama. Send a message to 0539 986 996 reflecting on that one moment you hurt your mother with a decision, a word, or an action that caused her pain. And yet in her quiet strength, she chose to forgive you because her love for you was always greater than the pain. Or think about the sacrifices she made, the things she went through, the things she went without, so you could have more. The sleepless nights, the silent struggles, her own dreams set aside just to see you move forward. Many times, these sacrifices go unnoticed. And now cast your mind back to that one defining moment, the midnight advice, the support, the action Mama took that changed your life forever. That single act that continues to guide you all the time. So this Mother's Day, let's go beyond celebration. Let's reflect, let's appreciate, and let's say the words that matter. Add your full name, your phone number, and Mama's full name, and send to 0539 986 996 via WhatsApp. Let's give Mama her flowers while she can feel it. The An Episode with Mama promotion is powered by 97.3 City FM with support from Channel 1 TV, and it's proudly sponsored by GTP and supported by Takira.
Friday on Footprints, we sit down with Reverend Dr. Christy Doe-Tete for a thought-provoking conversation about her ministry under the late legend, Archbishop Benson Idahosa, and her journey to starting the Solid Rock Chapel International, making her the first female founder on the charismatic scene in Ghana.
And you met Archbishop Benson Idahosa.
Right there at the hotel.
Did you know him before you met him?
At all. Never. When I left his house and came to the church compound, he would bring a bell and ring it at my window. He called me St. Christopher. St. Christopher, it's time for morning prayer.
But you never came with him to any of them?
No. You won't have that opportunity. You are busy. As a personal secretary to Idahosa, you are Idahosa. People were asking questions from those who came to the morning devotion that, sorry, Ben. Then they will tell the morning devotion. Then they will come and tell me. And I said, morning devotion, they say, yeah, sorry. I love to read too. So when I was going, I took a book with me, written by Rebecca Brown. He came to set the captives free. And when I opened the book, I saw Solid Rock Productions. Solid Rock Chapel. That's how I got the name Solid Rock Chapel. When I came back from prayer, I said, you better start here, sorry. And I started with 9 people, 1994.
Footprints airs every Friday at 7 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 5:30 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
For close to 2 decades, City FM and Channel 1 Television have been organizing the Easter Orphan Project. It is a corporate social responsibility that has targeted and benefited many orphanages from the Greater Accra region, Eastern region, and even to the Upper East region. Over the past few years, however, the media conglomerate appears to be refocusing this annual gesture by targeting not only orphans, but other underprivileged members of society. This year, in addition to all the regular places that benefit from the annual kindness, a new, almost forgotten group of beneficiaries was targeted for support. Nestled in the green vegetation of the central region, the Osamkrom prison camp sits quietly. Inmates locked behind huge padlocks while away their time, engaging in nothingness, just the long wait to freedom. Some of them forgotten not only by society, but even by the closest of friends and family, the gun-wielding guards, or their own cellmates. Food is just a regular daily portion served an average Ghanaian prisoner. Music and entertainment, well, that's just a wish in their heads. Then, suddenly, a truck pulls up. Wait, is that a truck to the courthouse, or another set of inmates are coming in? Some peek through the wall. No, this truck is carrying goodies. Not the usual prison food. Food that you enjoy on Bologna days. Moments later, other cars arrive in a convoy. Smartly dressed young men and women disembark. They set up the speakers and turn up the music. The food and drinks were served. It is a party! When the music hits you, not even the prison gates can save you from jumping to the dance floor. The rap competition.
No lie, if you want try what they come, you go see say you became their farm. I heard the unkonya farm ta come. I heard the kayos you want some back home. Me know cause I be back here. As a halimeta man, me are the killer. Once a soldier, always a soldier. Me tell him say Aja is me buckler. In me shoot, so me now shiver. Want to conquer me, fear no bother. Me ready to shoot batty boy with me good. Them are ready, dead and good.
The dance competition.
Let's party! What do you mean? Turn up, 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 hey!
And when the chief prison guard loosens up, and the stern face makes way for a broad smile and even makes a joke or raps along, then you know it's going to be a great day.
As I'm growing, my brethren, them. You have to make the whole of them know, say we box man over here, so, yeah? Chuck it, so. Him not belong on the same stage with me, you know. I'm a day pan higher.
Are you a man to session section, come on to you still, you know?
We're not afraid of nothing at all. We're day pan already. Make the whole of them know, say. We hide them from afar, so we cough and wall on our belly. You know. Them now know we, you know. Them now know at all. But sticky still yet? If them want a war, we're ready now.
That's the spirit of the Easter Orphan Project. General Manager of Channel 1 Television and CTFM Bernard Avlet provides the basis of this gesture in the scripture.
You know, the scripture doesn't mention a lot of social facilities, but it mentions prison. So the Lord said, I was sick, you didn't take care of me. I was in prison, you didn't visit me. So I think that the Lord is very interested in prisoners, because as you know, prison is a very difficult place to be in. It's a place where you are transitioning back into freedom. And in a sense, we are all in prison, right? We are all bound by something. So for me, it's critical for the spirit of Easter to give back, to visit. And as you can see, we are dancing. We are not just here to dump the things and go, spending the time to let them know that there's hope out there. And I feel, listening to some of the prison officers, once they've accepted that they are on the path to reform, they start building their skills and their thinking around, what do I do when I go out? Because for a lot of people, prison is a dead end, but it shouldn't be. And hopefully, these guys will come out and come and add to build Mother Ghana.
These people are not orphans, but they are underprivileged, and they deserve every happiness that the rest of us feel on festive occasions like Easter. CEO of Channel 1 Television and CTFM, Samuel Atamensa, makes that point in the best way possible.
What we are here to do is to eat with you, drink with you, dance with you, so that you know that we and you, we are all one people. So we thank you and we thank One Dawn.
One Dawn, yeah. I put a girl and call you One Dawn, yeah. I wonder what shot I never call you One Dawn.
It is one thing to bring the food and dump it on these prisoners as a gesture of kindness, like many of us do. But it's an entirely different ballgame for the visitors who are bearing the food, stars in their own right, or celebrities on television, if you want to call them, to sit at the same table and share a meal with convicts as though it was a normal dinner time at home. And then the dance continues. The party never dies here, at least for the few hours that the team is still around. But soon, it is over. Visiting time is over, and the guests have to leave. Sad faces, but not quite. The prison is faced with challenges, lots of them. These affect the inmates and officers in many ways. Here is the second in command at the prison camp, a man the prisoners call One Dog, but whose real name is Bafoboli.
When it comes to prisons, everything is about the inmates, even though officers are actually struggling. When it comes to officers, it's basically about our officers. As we speak right now, we are in the rainy season and our administrative block is leaking and it's bad. And if the administrative machine is not propelled, the system cannot be run. But we still look at the prisoners. So when it comes to the prisoners, first of all, I'll talk about cell accommodations. Yes, we have our artisans like the masons, we have our engineers, and we are trying our best to expand the facility so that at least there will be some form of decent accommodation for them. So we are reaching out to everybody. We don't want money. We want materials like cement, iron rods, that is mild steel. We want, chippings, that's coarse aggregates. We want sand. We want everything that can help us go into construction. So yes, this is what I'm appealing to all individuals and organizations and donor agencies to reach out to Osam Krom Camp Prisons, which is located off the Winneba Swedro Road.
But there is hope. In addition to items costing close to 150,000 cedis donated to the camp, CEO Atamensa pledges to help with the infirmary and other logistical support.
Now, when it comes to the extension, that's a major project, so we'll have to prepare properly, and then maybe with the permission of your high command, we can present a proposal before we build. The way we do our things, we are not a bank. We don't have money sitting down, but we can raise the resources. So if we raise the resources, we make sure that we supervise the project to its completion. So once it's agreeable to you, we are in good company.
As the team pulls out of the camp, we look back with joy that we provided happiness to over 100 people who have been living lives with dampened hopes. We are positive that our viewers and listeners who helped us make this possible will show up again to help the Easter Orphan Project support less privileged members of our society the next time.